Hospital in the Department of Cardiology. Look at me remembering things. Hello and welcome, my friend. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
We're in the middle of this IDC thing, and so it's like I'm as good as one could be, with the whole IDC situation.
Giant asterisk next to my doing well. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like doing well and here.
Right,
DEI, IDC.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
But I wanted to have you on today, and actually I think now is literally the best time for it, because you and I had talked about, we've known each other for a while, and you were talking about a model for your organization regarding how new RAs are onboarded and how portfolios are distributed. And I thought it was like really, really interesting because, one of the biggest challenges we have in research administration is the one person who knows everything, and then that person goes on a vacation or is sick and they feel guilty being sick because they're like, who else will be able to handle my portfolio or whatever I'm doing. And as you were telling me how your organization is set up in that space, I was like, oh my God, this solves a lot of those problems. So I would love to hear from you. Tell me a little bit, tell us a little bit, because I know you, but others may not. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about sort of your experience, not just here, but just sort of like what you've seen in the past in terms of organization and what you found so unique about this space in your onboarding.
Sure. So I'll do the quick rundown of how I got into research admin because it shows the different things I've experienced. So I actually started, I go all the way back working for SAMHSA and the federal government when I was in DC.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was an administrative assistant, administrative coordinator, something like that in SAMHSA for the suicide prevention branches and the mental health promotion branches. So that was super cool. I decided to move home. So I was living in DC at the time, but New England is home for me. So I decided to move home, and while I was sort of applying to jobs, McLean Hospital's Research Administration Department saw my experience with government project officers and understood that I knew the basics of grants. So they asked if I wanted to come join their research admin team as the administrative coordinator, and that's what kind of got me into knowing the field. So I worked at McLean, and then I ended up working at Boston Children's in psychiatry. So it was departmental. And then I ended up working at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center in, which is, as you know, is centralized research. And now I'm back at Boston Children's in cardiology. So again, department.
You couldn't stay away.
Yeah, I love children's, honestly. I do. I really do. I really do. So, yeah. But so the difference is when I was in both sort of the first departmental experience I had and in the centralized, it very much, I had my own portfolio. I had my own portfolio, I had my own PIs, and I had people who were helping me get acquainted. Occasionally I've had people who had the portfolio before me, which is super helpful when that person is still around. You don't always get that, but they were able to sort of show me the ropes that way. But what happened when I came to cardiology at Children's was really cool. They have a system where they have backups for everything. So that's pre-award and post-award. So for pre-award, you would have a lead research administrator with the proposal doing the main work, and then you'd have a backup who joins the meetings, who's on emails, who's aware of the process as it's happening. And that really allows you. There's a lot of benefits to it. There's a second pair of eyes. If you end up, as my department did in December, January, just flooded with pre-award, it's easy to be able to say, hey, I can't fix this budget right now. Do you mind taking a look at it? And it's easy because the person knows the background. They were in the meeting with the PI. They understand what's going on. And so it's a smooth transition into having somebody else look at your pre-award. And for post-award, we do the same. So for each PI, if Minessa was PI, I would be the main RA, and then Carly, one of my coworkers, could be the backup RA. And for me, I still do my recons or my reconciliations and my projections myself, but I include my backup RA in the meeting with the PI. So they get the rundown, or if necessary, if there's something particularly tricky, my other RA and I can meet and go over and be a second pair of eyes for each other. And yeah, it's teamwork. And at first, I think the objection that I could imagine folks having is that it seems to make your workload larger because you're both the main RA
Right. Or
and
what's
a
the
backup.
redundancy here? Yeah.
Exactly. But it actually works really well. I don't, for us and our team, it works really well. I don't feel like being a backup RA is at all burdensome because I have backup RAs on mine that I have. It's like my prime.
Oh, so let me ask you something. So basically, like, you may be the backup RA for the pre-award person, but you're mostly, say, post-award. Let's use that as an example, right? And then, like, someone else in post-award, maybe the backup for you, while their main goal is like the clinical trials or something. Like, so is it kind of like everybody has their primary area of responsibility, and then they're like a backup to somebody else?
Not really. It's we all do pre and post together.
Okay.
So I have my set of PIs that are still my portfolio. So
Yep.
and I have them for pre and post. And I have different people because we had such a onslaught of pre-award in January. And because I was new, what they do is they give the new person the majority of the prime pre-award work. I shouldn't use the word prime, it gets confusing, but the main RA, the lead RA, we use the term lead RA. So just to get acquainted with the department and the players and the PIs and everybody and how it all works.
Yep.
So that's what I've just kind of come out of now is we're starting to get me more into the swing of things and not just doing pre-award as predominantly. But there was a time where we were kind of all doing pre-award predominantly in
Oh my
January
God,
because it
this
was just
cycle, I don't even know, like, February is
everyone.
usually a tough time anyway, but like, this is like a whole nother ball game right now.
Yeah, everyone was throwing in
And I'm
applications
just
at
going
all
to tell you,
different
this
times. Yeah.
15% thing has not ebbed the flow.
No.
I just had one PI send me an email saying I have 6 going in the next month, and I'm like, well, I guess sure, okay, I mean,
Yeah,
it's great,
yeah.
I'm happy, but like,
Yeah,
it
no.
hasn't had that much of an impact on submissions.
No, no, not at all. Which I think is good. I think we need to keep moving forward.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, so it's kind of like in all things I do, I have another of my colleagues who has my back. And that makes it easier for if I need to go on vacation, if I'm sick, if I'm stressing about I
Yeah.
have no idea how to do X, Y, and Z. I don't know how to do. Trying to think of a recent example, but I'll make one up for onboarding. Maybe a new employee. I'm not familiar with the access. The at Children's we have, or we used to have when I was there before, an online access request, and now it's like through a service ticket or just whatever the procedures and processes are. If someone's like, "Oh, I've onboarded a million people, let me help you out," we can really help each other manage skills and learn new skills that way. Yeah, it's actually it seems I don't want to say it seems simple because it's not. It is an interesting structure, but it's
Yeah.
really the one that not only has helped me with organization, staying on top of my post award, and just working with my teammates, but it actually has really helped my imposter syndrome a lot, which I had
Yep.
honestly, which I had a ton of leading into. I mean, I think every new RA. I mean, I won't speak for everyone, but I think it's
I was going to say,
understandable.
I've been an RA for years, I still have imposter syndrome, so
Yeah.
like, I'm not sure it goes away.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just, I feel like in research admin, it's about learning how to swallow your imposter syndrome and move forward anyway. So yeah, but it's really helped with my imposter syndrome because the system is set up for us to succeed and to work together. And not that having your own portfolio and being kind of siloed doesn't work, but it just adds, I think, unnecessary stresses. And it's obviously going to look different for different departments, different teams. Everyone has to find
Yeah.
a system that works for them. But for us, I think it's really good. And I think, yeah, having sort of a more teamwork approach instead of having here are your people, here are your people.
Your people.
You know, it's honestly been super helpful for me as a new RA. Newer.
You know, as you were talking, I was thinking to myself that, like, a lot of it may have to do with sort of like the size, because you mentioned it'll be different for each one, right? And so I thought to myself, if you have like a giant, because cardiology tends to be a larger department, you know, anywhere you go, right? So you're probably going to need like 4 or 5 to manage the whole department.
Right.
And so what's interesting is that and as you know, I spend a lot of time talking to research administrators across the country. And one of the bigger challenges, Lacey Ray and I were just talking this morning about the fact that almost every organization's problem is that they don't have enough people. Like they try to solve the problems with technology and software and processes, but in the end, you need more people. And what's interesting is as you were talking, what I heard in my, because we were talking about all the, like, so let's say, for example, you need to do a labor cost transfer, right? Like, doing a labor cost transfer takes like 10 minutes. You sit down, you fill out the paperwork, you get the backup, you put it together, you throw it out, right? You're all good. But like the act of putting together the cost transfer beforehand, where you figure out what is it that I need to transfer, where do I need to transfer it to, what do I need to do, like there's a whole sequence of forensic accounting and research and investigation and like problem solving while you're doing the dishes. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes on till you get to that point where you're like, okay, now I'm to do the transfer, which that takes like 5 to 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, how long it takes. But the whole part leading up to it could have taken like 2 days or 10 hours or who knows how long. And when a lot of times we do benchmarking, we're doing benchmarking based off of like the tactical things that we do, right? So it's like, this person should be able to do 12 labor cost transfers because they only take, and it's like, no,
Right.
this person can do one labor cost transfer because it's going to take the whole day. And what I hear actually as you're describing this is more that we have become acclimated to not having enough people. And so the idea of having a group where there's a backup, where there's this kind of support, like as I was thinking to myself, I actually was working through my own issues in my brain as I was like, well, God, that's a lot of people. And then I was like, well, yeah, but everything that you were describing is what Lacey and I were talking about earlier in terms of the fact that the job is like much bigger than any job description says it is. And like, it almost sounds like your department has figured that out.
Yeah. It's in having a second. It's a second pair of eyes. I think doesn't even cover what it really is. It's another
Right.
person in the context of research administration, understanding the work you do, and understanding your portfolio deeply, so that you can problem solve with each other. And I feel like that would make it go quicker, and it often does.
Oh my God, so does. Because then like every time Syra and I need help with something, you have to like give all the history and then this PI and then that and then so, and now I've caught you up. Now here's my problem, right? And it's like, but if you have people that are working with you it actually used to be this way. I remember when I was first working at the BI, because Jen, my boss, had all, like she'd literally managed like all the portfolios by the time, she hired me. And so like she and, oh God, someone else Ruth was also helping me. I had a few people who were supporting me, but they had already managed those portfolios. And so when I needed help with something or when I needed support, they already had all of that infrastructural knowledge, not just about the organization, but about the people, and so you're right. It gives you the ability to say, okay, I'm doing this transfer, and the person already knows the 16 project that this guy works on and says, okay, you know what if we, and you kind of start to, and I think that it also creates this exciting feeling of collaboration, right? Which I feel like it's almost like when we used to be in person, because that was something that you used to be able to do in person, but it's almost creating the ability to create more team, more like of those kinds of like trust building exercises than one would have. I love this. And now you mentioned, so I'm curious to know, is this how this department was always set up, or is this something like new? Like what prompted this? Because like most departments aren't set up that way, and it's not how research administration groups are typically set up. So I'm curious to know what prompted this.
So I don't know the whole story, but I will tell you, prior to me getting to cardiology, there was a point in time where cardiology, which is the third largest department in Boston Children's, had one research administrator.
Oh, gasp.
Yeah, gasp indeed. She still works with us, and she's an absolute shout out to Justine. I have no idea how she did it.
She must be so happy now.
Yeah. So she was keeping it together for the whole department for a while, and I know there was a recognition that was not sustainable, and it wasn't the goal. But as we know, there's not enough research administrators out there for the number of positions that exist. So, ultimately, the position that our director has was created to come in, and she actually came in from elsewhere in the hospital to come into cardiology and create the structure, and that is coming from her. Her name's Arlenin. She's the one who plotted out the way this was going to go. And I think it almost probably happened. My guess is it seemed, I would love to talk to Arlenin more about it actually, but I think it almost is a natural consequence of only having one person, then two people, and then slowly growing your team. You're all hands on deck for a while. So to suddenly
Right.
say, okay, let's separate out and you just worry about this and I'll just worry about that and we won't talk, I think would have been more, more, you would have had to be more directed to do that than to say, let's
Hmm.
keep working on this all together. And I think the structure probably kind of happened relatively organically from that issue of one research administrator for all the work. Um,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I mean, credit to our Lennon. I think it's a brilliant idea and a
Oh, it
brilliant way to
really
run
is.
the
It
department.
actually is a testimony to what Lacey was talking about today. So Lacey was talking about how, a lot of times the people who are put in positions of power to determine the structure of research and academic affairs, the structure of the groups and how it works and so on, these are people who are operational, managerial, but they're not research administrators. Like they
Right.
haven't spent, and we're at a space now where, like, having someone like your boss who like is a research administrator, has all this experience, has all this history, and is doing all this work, then come in and now is in a leadership position and is empowered to facilitate change. We know what we need, like we know what will help. And a lot of the older way, like you said, it was interesting. You said, the way typically you're directed to saying, okay, this is going to be your silo, and this is going to be your silo, and this is going to be your silo. It's also very interesting. This is just sort of coming to mind, like as an aside, is that one of the conversations about how women tend to engage with work is more community based, right? And we tend to be more like, and so it's actually very, very interesting to like see like if we're left to our own devices and allowed to create an infrastructure, what that builds in. And it actually, and this is not I have to actually look this up because I'm positive I just read about another example where this kind of thing happens. And like, I feel like it's like an, almost like you said, organic community support system that gets built because people know what needs to be done. Everybody has the experience. You have like the director of the space, but everybody's sort of contributing to that goal there. I love that so much. So I'm curious to know though, in this context, right? So like, I love the idea. I'm totally on board with the organic creation, but like if you have, say, 4 or 5 people in a department all managing, all of cardiology, and, you said everybody has their own PIs, is there like a streamlined like reconciliation process? Like, does everybody have to use the same reports? Like, how do you navigate that space of like making sure that everybody is able to read each other's stuff?
Yeah, that's what we're working on right now. We have a shared drive that we keep everything on, which was also shouldn't be, but new for me to keep everything on the shared drive. I'm used to having my own stuff, my own portfolio, my own silo, but keeping everything on the shared drive so everyone has access to everything. And there is a financials folder where we keep our, some folks call them reconciliations, projections, etc. And one of the big things that our Lennon is going to have us do this year as a project is to streamline and create one core document that one Excel sheet that'll be easy to read for PIs, easy for us to continue to update, and it's going to be built based on what we know we want and need in reconciliation. What we know we want and need when it comes to projecting out salaries. And we have a couple different sheets that I've sort of stolen from people along the way and asked folks to send me, hey, what do you use? Could you email that to me? And so we're going to come together and work on this project. We were going to do it in January, but then, this cycle,
Yeah,
we
good
didn't
luck
have
with
time.
that in January.
Yeah, in January, but we will work on it. We're gonna have one, and then we're gonna have communication to the PIs with probably, I'm hoping to do like a walkthrough of look
So they know what
here
they're
for
looking
your
at.
direct costs. This little bit will show you this. Your people are over here, and this is their current salaries, and like have everything set up so that not only is that better for PIs, but it also makes our job easier for sort of switching back and forth on portfolios ever if
Yeah.
you have to rearrange or even just, coverage while I'm out. The people who are my backups can look at my recon sheet, know exactly what it is, which they've already, likely have gone over with me if they're in my PI meetings with me, but it's easy for them to pick up because it's how theirs work too. So
Yeah.
that's step 2 for me because I'm new, but step, I don't know, 14 for our Lennon. I don't know where they are
It's
in
like
that
we're somewhere
process.
along the lines there.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, and that makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, are you all on Workday yet?
Nope, we are planning on it, but we just had a meeting where they told us that's paused for now until everything settles enough. So,
Settles down.
yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And I was curious just because like everybody seems to be moving over to Workday, and I was just thinking to myself, I remember when PeopleSoft was all the new hotness, and I mean, it hasn't been the new hotness since the 90s, but still, like, it was the new hotness at one point. And so I was curious because I know that a couple other organizations literally just switched over, and they're in that phase, they're in that space right now where it's like chaos and the invoices are going out and all kinds of things are happening. So I was curious to know if you'd already done that or if this was like the anticipation.
That is our future. Yeah,
that's your future. Okay,
we will
predict your future. Okay,
yeah.
so thank you, God. Thank you so much, Cass, for joining me today. Before we jump off, I actually have two questions for you that I ask every RA. Because, and you'll know the second I ask you why I'm asking you this question. So the first question is this. When someone asks you, what do you do? How do you answer?
Okay. That's a good one because it depends. It sometimes depends on the person how much it depends is basically what we should just say because how often do we use that phrase anyway? It depends.
I've never used it. Never heard it.
Never heard it. Never heard it in our lives. So basically I start as far back as like, so there's research and it costs money. And the quickest way I've explained is I say I help researchers who are at this hospital where I work acquire money and resources from grant funding, etc. To succeed in the research projects they're doing. So I help them both apply for funding, and then I also help them manage afterwards. And the managing afterwards can be huge. It's not just looking at the money and where it's all going, but it's also looking at policies, compliance, and then it's kind of like you're an epic problem solver because every day in post-award, something comes up and you go, what is this? And then you figure it out and move from there. So usually I do emphasize the problem solving portion a lot because without it, it's kind of not a full picture of research administration. Especially,
so true.
I mean, even, I shouldn't say only post-award, pre-award too. Someone can I had somebody throw I want to finance an MRI machine over 5 years on this R01, and that was another, let's figure this out.
Yeah,
and have
those
to pull
big
everybody
equipment.
in. Yeah. Yeah, so we had to pull in people from other departments. So really it's kind of, for me, a combination of knowing when to sort of follow the rules, the margins, the formatting and everything, and then also knowing when to have something that you look at and go, you know what, this is novel, I have not seen this before, where are my resources, who can I ask, who can I email, and just continuing on until you get the right answer. Or the best answer that you can get. Sometimes.
I was going to say, sometimes no right answer, because it depends.
Right. It depends, but get the best answer you can. Yeah.
And what is your favorite part of the job? What do you love about it?
It's probably a tie between two things, if I can do two.
You can do two.
One is the problem solving. It is something that engages my brain every day. So it's sometimes having a job where you can come in, do your process, and leave. And sometimes research administration does do that on slow times. But having something that challenges me to think every day and think critically and problem solve and work with people, because I have an MSW, I'm a people person. So yeah, I'd say that is the big one. And then the other is that it has meaning, it has purpose. This is not just to check boxes and move things along, but at the end of the day, especially, where I'm working in Boston Children's, this is benefiting our future of healthcare. It is helping kids now who are sick and need assistance, and it is preventing things in the future that could be really hard for our society, for our child. I mean, on both micro and macro levels, this is really big, huge work that we're doing, and it's important. It's even kind of patriotic, I think, to be really, to keep all the resources in our country moving forward in a good direction. And that's sort of what we do when we're stewards of this money that comes in, is we're making sure we're getting the best bang for our buck out of it, and we are moving forward, helping, and yeah, I don't know, it means something, and that's nice. So it's sort of simultaneously the problem solving, working with people, the tough stuff every day, and then also the big picture, the macro, we're moving things along, we're making progress, and we can contribute to how that's going to go, which is really cool.
I love that. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Cass. If somebody wants to find you and learn more about your organization and whether, if there's jobs available or maybe they want to learn more about how you've organized your space, where do they find you?
So LinkedIn works. I can make sure you have the link for that. And then feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or via email at Boston Children's. I can give you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Cass, you're amazing.